Hello everyone, this is Starrick from lemkowithhistory. Today, I bring to you another Rusyn World Interviews video. But today, it would be just me. I don't have any guests, and I've never done one just by myself before. It might turn out to be a really terrible podcast episode, but we're going to give it a chance and see how it goes. Of course, we're starting off the new year, in terms of what my plans are, the state of the channel, everything like that. Well, we just passed 3,000 subs a few days ago. I think I have about, at the time of this video, the 2nd of January, I have around 3,010 subs. So that's good. I believe if I go back to where my goals sheet was, I think it was 1,000 by the end of the year. So quite a lot of progress in this time, which I'm very happy with. Now, in regards to future video plans, I do intend to continue the Rusyn World Interview series, as well as the general history videos about Rusyns, whether this be things like Maxim Sandovich episode, or just general Rusyn history. I do intend to keep doing that. Now, one episode every week, I don't know about that. Maybe once every 2 weeks, to kind of space it out a little more. My bigger goal for this year, however, is to increase the kind of general interviewing and podcasting format. So I do intend to continue doing the history videos, but the Rusyn World Interview series is not where I want it. I think a lot of that has to do with the style that I've done it in, and I think I just need to improve as an interviewer and bring up new things. So that's going to be the main goal for 2021. Now, will there also be maybe some philosophical videos, things like that? Yes, but for the most part, I'm just going to work on the other two, as I've been doing for quite a long time. Now, you may be wondering why I haven't had a video out in quite a while. The truth of it is that I was diagnosed with mono and strep at the same time. Well, diagnosed sounds like I have cancer or something, but no. Just mono and strep, so I could barely talk. Throat was quite swelled up. Yeah, it was not good, and now I'm just finally getting back into it, but I'm still incredibly tired on a day-to-day basis. Hopefully I'll be getting back to making a history video by maybe the 2nd or 3rd week of January. We'll see. This is just quite a bit easier to do in the podcasting format. Now, moving on to some topics that I did want to discuss, because I thought, there will be a Q&A section at the end, but I thought, why not let's talk about some topics here, mix it up, just to see how it goes. First of all, to all of you who keep calling me John Righetti, thank you, but I am not John Righetti. John, if you're listening to this, you're a great guy. I think you've done amazing work, but, I'm not you. And I really do think it's like purposeful trolling now, because I've had about 6 people either comment or message me, and maybe it's the same guy. Maybe it's the same guy who just creates a whole bunch of other accounts and things, but they keep claiming I'm John Righetti, and they keep saying, why are you hiring a young voice actor to do what you've made, to voice over what you've made? So, not exactly sure how that's going, but yeah, let's put an end to that, please. Another topic here, and yesterday I was incredibly tired, and I just kind of wanted to see more what was on the web in terms of Rusyn content and things like this, and I came across just a lot of really negative arguments, whether it be the Facebook groups or things like that. There's just something that struck me about it, and here's something that more of us need to understand. By being Rusyn, you anger many people no matter what you say. Claiming you are one is an inherently political statement in the modern day. You can try to console them, say how you're for strong Ukraine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now, most Ukrainians will not care if you're Rusyn. They'll be like, hey, nice to meet a dollar store Russian for the first time. I'm not talking about these people. But the ones who are so nationalistic, simply saying the word gets them into a frenzy. There's no debating or trying to discuss with these types. Someday, they might be okay with the fact that we exist. And that's great. but trying to move them over on the subject is just a waste of time and energy. You must understand, many people are set in their beliefs and ways. This doesn't just relate to this topic, but life in general. 90% of people do not want to hear anything different from what they believe. Most of the times, you'd just be better off conserving your energy for something important. Instead of talking to them, you could be writing something about your home village, or talking with people who've just discovered their heritage. The list goes on and on. Also, their opinion of us doesn't really matter that much. On a political level, yes, I'm not discounting that they are an important part of that. But on a social and individual level, who we believe we are is an internal thing within the community. Other people's opinions should be frankly unimportant. What's the point in giving room for these people who don't even believe we exist? Do Slovaks seek to try to convince Hungarians who think they're just Slavicized Magyars? No. Whoever does not believe Slovaks exist, they just tell them, hey, you can screw off. Some type of this energy would be beneficial for us. It's not chauvinistic to not give a place for these people. If they could silence us, they would in a heartbeat. Acting as though some notion of free speech and debate applies here is naive. Things like that only work if the other side believes in it too. So we have two choices here. Either we can be realistic about the situation and realize that they have no place within our community, or we can fall on our own sword in the desire to look virtuous. Anyways, this whole identity thing is more complicated, of course, with East Slavs, as it seems as though everything is a goddamn mess with us. Some Russians believe all East Slavs are Russians, Ukrainians think we are one of them, while also still being mad about the Kuban region. Belarusians can't seem to get their act together and holding off Russian influence and their language is dying. Overall, we're pretty low on the leaderboard in terms of social cohesion. I digress. The simple truth is that if you change what you are saying in the hopes that you will get less backlash, or that nationalist Ukrainians will take it better, that self-censorship will muddy your message and be less powerful and effective. Now, do not take this as a call to be a jerk all the time. Most people deserve respect, and nothing comes of being purposefully negative. Most Ukrainians, like all people, are just normal. Think of how many non-political people you know in your own life, and now apply that to them. In most regards, we're talking about 10 to 15% of everyone here who really care about this issue. It isn't like you'll be walking down a street in Kiev and suddenly, oh, your arm is chopped off because they think you might be a Rusyn. That's just not how it works. The overall message here is that trying to interact with these nationalist individuals is a losing position. We should neither base our self-worth nor change what we do because of them. Giving these people a platform by interacting with them or by allowing them to argue with Rusyn spaces does no good for us. Now on to... So I have a new book coming out. I will be announcing it in its own video later. Pretty much for this book, I found it obvious in my time in the community that in many ways we are fast falling behind the curve in terms of just strategy, what to do, things like this. Now, I don't believe I have all of the answers, but it doesn't seem like anyone's talking about a lot of these issues that I bring up in the book. Now, I know I'm being a little cryptic here. I'm not talking about too much in depth about it. But I just wanted to those who are listening to the episode, be on the lookout. It'll be announced within, a week or two. So we'll see where we go from there. We might as well move on to the Q&A session. It might be interesting for all of you to see the questions and things like that. So we'll go there. The first, so I messaged a whole bunch of different forums. A couple other people emailed me questions as well. So I'm just going to go down the list here, and we'll go from there. So the first one is, how is the Rusyn movement in central Minnesota? Now, the reason that they're asking this question is because my parents, grandparents going all the way back are from central Minnesota. It's a historic Rusyn immigrant community there. They're called the Holdingford group because of this small town called Holdingford. God knows how many times I've driven through it, so it's very familiar to me. All the towns right around there I've all been to. That's where all my family is, all that stuff. But I do live in the Twin Cities, so give or take 2 hours away. In short, there is no movement there. Most people think that they're Polish there, even though I would say, give or take, for a lot of those towns, maybe a fourth to half of them are probably Rusyn. There's just nothing there. I mean, I don't know a single other person who believes that they're Rusyn from the holding fort group anymore besides me. Now, there are inklings that people still know. For example, my grandfather, who's in his mid to late 90s, he says he knew he wasn't really Polish, that he was really something else, but he was Polish to fit in, because that was around St. Cloud, which is give or take maybe 15-20 miles away, is the really only big Polish community in Minnesota. So that's like a very Slavic central area. And for the most part, the Rusyns were outnumbered by a lot, so I think a lot of them assimilated into that Polish identity. Now, for a lot of the old people, they know that there is something else. In regards to the young people, it seems a rather hopeless situation, unfortunately. I wish there was more knowledge of there, but it seems like the only real group that kept their identity very well at all. And even then, most of the Rusyn Association's members are older people, is the Twin Cities group. And I'm not part of the Rusyn organization, but my family is not from that group, so I can't say much on that. But I will say that the Central Minnesota Rusyn movement is pretty much dead. This might sound awful, but I don't really feel any desire to make an effort to really get the word out there. If the opportunity arises and a few people start realizing their heritage and things like this, I might be more interested. But just seems like a lost cause. Most people have not known for 2 or 3 generations, because my grandfather, he's in his 90s and he doesn't really know. Born in the 1920s, so it's too far away. I highly doubt a lot of people will care about it up there, especially since it's very strongly Polish orientated. I don't think a lot of people want to give that up either. Second question we have is, why do you have so many Russian and Hungarian viewers? I'm really not sure. I think the audiences are quite a bit different too, between me and Mihail. He's the other big Rusyn YouTuber. He has mostly people from Transcarpathia, and then a lot of linguistic fans. Where for me, I have a lot of historian fans, people who love history, things like that. I do know some professors watch my stuff, because I do know a couple Hungarian professors actually that have watched my videos and have commented before. So that's cool. So I think the person who's asking this question meant that there's quite a bit of nationalistic Hungarian and Russian viewers. I would just frankly chalk that up to that. It's the internet, and I don't really delete a lot of comments unless they're really out in the open. I think if you saw all the Ukrainians that commented bad stuff, then you might see a little bit more of... It's not as one-sided as you think. But I would say, for the majority, my viewers are Rusyn Americans, Slovaks, Russians, and Hungarians. I would say that's pretty much what makes it up. Fourth question is, when did the modern Rusyn movement start? I think we can mostly tie it back to the 1848 revolutions. Also, more specifically, the Russian army marching through the Carpathians to crush the Hungarian revolt. I think the Birth of Nations, and mixed in with that Russian army and just the effect that it left on Lemko Rusyns, that left on Subcarpathian Rusyns, those two things together were very important in the formation of a modern Rusyn identity. In the next couple of decades, you also see, Duknovich, Dobryansky had even started a little bit before that, but started really taking shape after 1848. So fifth question is, what is the closest group we are to? This is an interesting question, because for the most part, we really are a hodgepodge mix of different groups. I'd say overall, if I'd have to describe us as a people, I would say we are a cross between Slovaks, Romanians, and Ukrainians. Now that simplifies it a little bit, but I would say the two biggest parts are the Vlach and Ruthenian part. We kind of have a duality there. We have so much Vlach culture and ancestry along with the Ruthenian heritage from the Kievan Rus. I would say most likely we are probably either the closest to, linguistically of course you have to take into account as well, I'd say the probably closest to we are is probably Galicians and Podolians. Why is lemko referred to as a language? I don't know the specifics of it. In many cases, it's just because if people want to be more neutral, so they can't be labeled as Ukrainophile or a Rusinophile, just kind of occupying this middle empty position. I'd say another guess of mine would probably be that just due to the lack of knowledge as well. I think a lot of people just don't have the breadth of knowledge that they need to understand a lot of these topics. So if they say lemko language, they're just thinking of their lemko ancestors, not realizing that it's part of a broader language. I think in many cases it's not necessarily, and this might make me different from a lot of other activists and such. I don't necessarily think it's a Ukrainophile move. I think it's more trying to appease both sides, especially for people that just want to be lemko, just want to hold on to that lemko-ness. Alright, next question is, when will you be fluent in Rusyn? Well, that's hard to answer. I mean, I've been studying for, I don't know, maybe 5-6 months now, so I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm also learning Russian as well, but Russian is going along a lot quicker. I can have basic conversations a lot better in Russian now, and things like that. So, I'd say maybe 12 to 18 months probably. The rate I'm going at right now, should anything change. But yeah, Russian is going along smoothly. Rusyn, there's no tutors either, which makes it hard. With Russian, I can have tutors and stuff like that, which help me with pronunciation and things like that. Pretty much all I'm going off of, hold on, I'm grabbing the book here, is the Let's Speak Rusyn Transcarpathian Region edition. And so that is pretty much my only resource at the moment. Looking at it on paper is not always the best. 12 to 18 months, I would predict. Alright, so, will you continue to make videos in 2021? I think I answered that at the start of the video, but yes, maybe a little bit slower paced. No, I will still make videos, yes. This will be the last question, I think, of the day. Do you ever feel hopeless in what you're doing, or if it's not making a difference? Sometimes I actually do a little bit. Sometimes I find as though working against a huge machine, that what can I do to combat that? I think especially personally it hits me the worst when the videos don't do as well as I thought they would, or when there's not enough comments as I thought there was. In truth, I know if I get jealous or anything like that, but very hard on myself when something doesn't go the way I want it to. I'm not a perfectionist, but it's very hard for me. Being successful at things is very intrinsic to who I am, or at least trying to be successful at things. So when something doesn't work out or something's not as good as I think, I take it very personally to the core of who I am. So I get very defensive in my own mind. It took me very long to be able to see negative comments and just delete them, or just let them be and not respond. It's in that way, it's been very hard for me to deal with. But the longer I go around, the longer I make videos, the longer I do things, the Rusyn Literature Society, it has gotten better. I'm just very volatile in terms of my mood. It's almost as if I have to be almost just very flatlined, not care about anything, to just have the base level. For me, it's very hard to either be too happy or too sad. It just doesn't work out well. So, I think that wraps up the Q&A session. I hope this little episode right here was alright. I'm not really good at this whole podcast form, but I hope it was okay. I hope everyone had a very good New Year's. I hope 2021 is better for everyone. Let's hope so. And thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.